So we would like now to go into panel discussion, panel one discussion. And panel one discussion will be moderated by James Danga. James Danga is the safety expert in airworthiness from the African Civil Aviation Authority. Mr. Danga is based in Senegal, and he joined AFCAC in 2018 after working for the KOTCB and the Civil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe as a director of flight safety and standards. He has over 26 years experience in aviation, 18 of which have been at the aviation regulatory policy level, and is the holder of several postgraduate diplomas in aviation management. Kindly put your hands together as we welcome Mr. Danga. So Mr. Danga will be joined by his panelists. And he'll have the liberty to introduce his panelists. But I'd like to welcome Brenda, Colby, Conan, and Nathan to the podium. One panelist. So thank you. I've forgotten you. Allow me to welcome Mr. Danga to introduce his panelists and continue the panel discussion. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Program Director. I feel the excitement in the room. There is adrenaline pumping. Particularly after the discussions from the consultants, Mr. Verde. So the discussions from this morning really have set the tone for our discussions this afternoon. Indeed, the RSOOs in the continent have really done well. We've seen the reports. We've seen the reports from the RSOOs themselves, the consultants, and of course we know from the point of view of member states that our RSOOs have been doing very well over the years. I recall 2012, in Africa we had about 15 significant safety concerns, and by 2001, we have cleaned them up. We had none in Africa. But of course, that was short-lived, and then we began with ASSA-AC in navigation services. And I'm happy to report that the RSOOs are already working to help member states come out with the ASSA-AC situation. So that shows that there is value addition from our RSOOs. Now, this discussion is not only about the advantages of RSOOs, that has been well explained in this panel. We are now gearing up to another level. You recall from the consultants' reports, there was an aspect of 3 levels of RSOO development. Number 1, we mentioned consolidation. Number 2, maturation. Number 3, optimization. So those are going to be key developmental stages for RSOOs that are going to be seen in the strategic plan and the roadmap. Now for this discussion, we are going to zero in on consolidation. What is consolidation? As we have seen from the discussions that we have had this morning, we have RSOOs already in place. They have been developed. They are up and running. They are doing things. We see positive results. So consolidation is whereby these RSOOs are brought up to a certain level of maturity. We have also heard from the report of consultants that generally all of them, different as they may be, they can be categorized into two, either level 1 or level 2, according to CASSOA's levels of categorization of RSOOs. Now, when it comes to consolidation, there are key questions that we have got to address. They are related to resources, human, technical, and financial. For what purpose? For sustainability. So those are key issues that this panel is really going to address. So with me here, I've got very seasoned and experienced senior and executive managers in aviation, starting from the extreme end. He is the Director General of ASSA-AC, Mr.
Monsieur Eugène Abondy, a été dans le domaine pendant cette année. Nous avons la fierté d'avoir un directeur pour cela, pour nous organiser. Merci beaucoup d'avoir accepté d'être avec nous ce soir.
Mr. Nathan, he is the director with Zambia Civil Aviation Authority. Mr. Nathan is an engineer by profession. Yes, he is actually the director of aerodrome safety and security at Zambia CAA, and he has been in aviation for 20 years. And he is the chairperson of public subgroup on AAA, right? Exactly. Yes. Very, very much experience. And we are so pleased to have you, Nathan, for discussions we are going to have about the RSOOs today. Thank you very much. Next, I do have another seasoned senior aviation expert, whose name is Dr. Conan Kofi, and he is an engineer by profession. Currently, he is Flight Safety Director and Principal Airworthiness Inspector with the Cote d'Ivoire Civil Aviation Authority, and he has got many other responsibilities as an engineer in aviation. Thank you very much for joining us. Also on the panel, last but not least, it is the only lady and our esteemed Brenda Mtinyowa. I hope I got it right. Thank you. So she is the legal department, she is the head of the legal department at CASSOA, and she is a distinguished legal professional with extensive experience in aviation law, regional integration, and international relations. She is also an executive member of AWIA. And she has done a lot in AWIA, and we really try to have her in this forum. Thank you very much for joining this discussion on RSOO. Thank you very much. So, as we indicated, this panel will explore these critical questions of resource planning, funding models, service prioritization, and efficiency measures, drawing from the experiences of RSOOs and member states experts alike. So, the first question is about resource requirements, and I'm going to have that answered by the Director General, Mr. Eugene Abondy, and also later on, Brenda. So the first question is, what level of human and financial resources are typically required to deliver level 1 versus level 2 RSOO functions?
Merci James pour ta parole. Concernant les exigences en matière de ressources humaines et financières au niveau des RSOO, Je dirais que cela dépend en particulier de la taille de la RSO et des missions qui ont été confiées à cette RSO. On ne peut pas directement comme ça fixer, voilà, il y a des exigences. La RSO doit avoir les moyens financiers et les moyens humains pour pouvoir accomplir les missions qui sont les siennes. Si vous prenez l'exemple d'une RSO comme la mienne, comme la nôtre, celle de l'Afrique centrale, qui a en termes de mission, l'élaboration des règlements, la veille réglementaire, donc suivi de ces éléments, et la formation des personnels techniques des États à notre niveau insiste sur lui. Donc l'organisation a établi doit prendre en compte ces missions-là. Et pour le compte des États, si les mêmes missions sont par exemple confiées aux AMA qui ont 18 États, vous verrez que ce ne sera pas les mêmes ressources, les mêmes besoins en matière de ressources. Donc je vous dirais que les besoins en ressources humaines et en ressources financières varient selon les RSO par rapport aux missions de ces RSO-là et à leur domaine de compétences aussi. Parce que nous avons 4 domaines de compétences, il est évident que nous devrons couvrir tous les domaines en matière de ressources humaines déjà et pouvoir donner à ce personnel les moyens nécessaires pour pouvoir accomplir les missions qui leur sont demandées. Donc, établir une exigence formelle en termes une exigence quantitative valable pour toutes le RSO, je dirais, ce serait un peu tiré par les cheveux, comme on dit, mais je dirais plutôt que ça dépend des missions de la RSO et de sa taille. Merci.
Thank you very much for expounding that question. The second part, under resource requirements, is to Brenda. Are there minimum capacity thresholds or staffing benchmarks for the RSOO to be considered operationally effective?
Thank you for that question. Yes, I highly believe that it is necessary to have minimum thresholds. For example, with CASSOA, we have ensured that every domain is adequately represented, right from PEL, ANS, Flight Ops, AGA, LEGORG, and this ensures that any support that's required by the partner state is readily available at CASSOA level. Also, in addition to that, we are trying to ensure that all these personnel are adequately trained and they have to be current. As you may know, we just recently concluded the CASSOA assessment, and this was one of the key areas that was highlighted for the agency to ensure that it is improved on, because the capacity of the technical personnel is very pertinent to the improvement of safety standards in the region. In addition to that, we have also considered emerging areas such as unmanned aircraft systems and environment. So even in these areas, much as we are not able to have departments delegated to these areas, we are trying to still support the development of regulations in these areas. Also, of course, when you look at funding, it's also a key area. There must be enough funds to continuously train these people and also funds for the operations. And then self-sufficiency, we are trying as much as possible to maintain operational independence in the region. We are established as an autonomous institution of the East African community, which has greatly helped us in the long run in terms of staffing. We are independent when it comes to staffing, we're independent when it comes to determining our budgets. So this has gone a long way in supporting the actual capacity threshold of the agency. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comprehensive answers. So it is clear from the two answers that we received on resource requirements that there's a need for planning. There's also need for experienced experts need for training, but also there's an aspect of membership contributions. You are getting funds from member states, and that is a resource that is limited. So what can an RSOO do to make sure that there is sufficient funding for experts that you may need in the organization, despite the fact that the resources are limited? What do you do? That can be answered by anyone, either member or director general.
Je prendrai l'exemple concret de la RSO que je dirige aujourd'hui. À son lancement, il était prévu que la RSO soit financée entièrement par
fully by that is the CEMAC commission. We had to bring all the money for the running of the RSO. But when we realized that this model of funding wouldn't allow the organ to accomplish its mission, a study was done, handled by IATAM, to find out an acceptable mode of funding. And this study concluded that we should have an hybrid funding mechanism, keeping what the Commission could give to the agency and having equal contribution from the member states, which would come directly from their budgets, and putting in place some security that is cut from the passengers' travel fare. The study was validated by the organs of the Commission, and then the mechanism put in SLEF, and a state was bringing in $100,000 per year per state. But then we noted that it was very laborious going to the states, requesting for the funds, and we were not getting really the total of the money. And then it was about 10% received by the agency. So we had to go back to the study, update the study, and talk about the regional contributions. We amended, taking into consideration the requirements of the states. So the cut was to be done on passengers. They told us to have an impact study on this activity, that is air transport with the cutting. And then they asked us to do a study on a potential inflation given the proposed cut. So we had financial institutions of the community that helped us to carry out the study because we did not have the money to finance it. And now today, the cut was reestablished on passengers, on community flights and international flights. And this has allowed us, as we speak, to begin deploying in a normal way, because this is linked to what you raised in the first place, that is the need in resources. And we have an organization chart, and we were not in position to recruit even the low staff. Now we have that cut, and it is effective in 5 states of the community out of 6 since the 1st of October last year. The implementation was rather laborious because we are not collectors of money. We are negotiating to have a limitation on the 6th state. So this cut was put in place, and then all the work given to the organ and what the states had to contribute each year, and what the Commission of CEMAC was supposed to continue contributing to the RSOO So we have an hybrid funding mechanism that comes from three sources. The cut on regional flights, on passengers, equal contribution from budgets of the states, and what the SEMA Commission gives. So that is the funding mode that we have today. And this allows us, after evaluation, to at least have 80% of the sums as we need for the budget. And this allows us to undertake the various actions in favor of the member states. The main ones, that is community training, that the states are requesting. And they tell us about how we have to spend. Thank you.
For that comprehensive response. Now, since we are still talking about funding and resources, let me come to the two engineers, Ethan and Kofi. Now, from the state's perspective, what is the cost-benefit ratio of belonging to an RSOO?
First, I would like to take that, and then after that, Kofi will come.
Thank you very much, James, for that question. And, I would like to take perspective of ourselves as a state in terms of Zambia. If you look at the cost benefits, you look at the cost that a state has towards an RSO, obviously in the aspects relating to membership fees, and also maybe giving out human resource in terms of within our state we are affiliated to CASSOA. You put out human resource to be under the NSI. If you weigh that against the benefits, and I speak as a state, is that last year I could cite four key areas, or three key areas that I would bring out here. Is that one, if you look at the resources that are at your disposal through RSOs, specifically if I say SADC, the SASO RSO, is that you have a pool of technical experts from other states that you can tap into. For Zambia, we took this approach when we were getting ready for our audit. I remember I said, we're not here to tick a box, but to strengthen our safety oversight system. So we got some technical aspect assistance from the RSO in the area of flight ops, airworthiness, where we said, look, we would like you to build capacity within our CAA, our state, to a point where we can have personnel that can actually bring out safety oversight functions effectively within our states. So that really helps us in the area of flight ops and operations.
We usually say you can't put a monetary amount to that benefit, but try and have an SSC. Then you will see the monetary benefit of what has happened. So that is one aspect that I would actually bring out. The second aspect is also because you are sharing knowledge with other NSIs or other colleagues from other states within the RSO system. Currently, Zambia has positioned itself to actually have capabilities within the CAA that have now become experts in their own fields because of their interactions. And we're having part of our inspectors actually even being poached, if I can say. So we are building within our Zambian CAAs expertise because of the interactions that they're having at most of these RSOs, conferences and workshops that they're actually doing. So the benefit to a state is quite colossal in terms of the coordination of this. Thirdly, you look at the time it will take, let me give an example when we look at regulations and all. CASSOA developed model regulations. It got a pool of experts together, came up with model regulations. As a state, it was easier for us to actually get the model regulations, domesticate them to our situation, and get them promulgated. So that saves you time, even as a state, because you have a model regulation that has been taken through and is customized to your region or to the necessary regulatory framework, and you just need to now find a way of just domesticating it and promulgating it within your regulation. So it saves you time, and that is a benefit that would accrue to a state. So the benefits have been massive, even as a state of Zambia, from RSOO activities. Maybe I leave something for my fellow engineers. Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Cote d'Ivoire, c'est l'élection to RSOO, AMAC for NSP, and then USAC. The difference maybe between USAC and the other RSOO, USAC is fully funded by the Commission. USAC is an RSOO for the West African French-speaking countries. And we are tightly linked to one regional economic community called UMOA. So the money is not coming directly from the CA, but the money is given to USAC through the Commission. Even for the countries that even money to the community, but community give money to USAC. Coming back to the benefit, Fatata said everything. Cote d'Ivoire have a strong score now in terms of AFCAC audit. We wouldn't achieve this result if we didn't have support, not only from ICAO, but also from USAC. I give one example. When I joined ANAC in 2013, we didn't establish a common regional training program. We were sending inspectors to France, to Netherlands, to UK, to US for training, and this is quite expensive. I went myself 4 times to US for training, but now those training are done locally, either in Dakar, Abidjan, and Lomé, and that's a lot of cost saving regarding transportation and academic cost. That's for the training aspect. Also, when a country is planned for an ECA audit, we used to call some experts from outside Africa to come and assist us. Now, this is quite expensive. Now we have research experts that are well knowledgeable, who can come and assist the country, and that also can bring some cost saving. And something that cannot be evaluated as cost, as Nathan said, is the knowledge exchange between the experts, between the RSOs. We can exchange between us. We have some WhatsApp system set up. For example, we have a big challenge in, I think, most of the African countries regarding drones. Because ICAO experts are here, we don't have now a clear framework regarding the regulation of drone flying in the local countries. But each country is trying to set up its own regulation, but back 3 or 4 years ago, in our RSOO, we met in Cotonou and we tried to put together as a common, as you said, an harmonized framework regarding drone activity. So as a country, I think RSOO is quite important. When considering the money you put inside, what you get from them, I think we need to support them, even if sometimes, as said my colleague from Cameroon, they are taking our experts. Now this is a big challenge that maybe to find a way to keep the experts either in the RSOO and the civil aviation, but it's a big issue that I think maybe we should tackle in another conference. But apart from that, I'm quite happy of the support provided by the RSOO. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You wanted to give an additional point?
Si vous permettez, je vais rebondir sur ça. Effectivement, peut-être je serais un peu maladroit de parler à la place des États.
And the place of the states. But the agencies that have been put in place by states when we were in the process of having the regional cut on flight fares, the six each year were not in position to give the full amount needed every year for the training program. Now the implementation was between 40 and 60%. When they give us this cutting, there was a requirement directly from the regulator. This was done within the Council of Ministers and the Regional Economic Community to have a training program for the coming 3 years in order to do away with the deficit of technical personnel in the areas before us. Today, the training plan is being undertaken with the experts from the countries. Within 2 months, it will be completed. This is an advantage that the countries are going to enjoy. The plan is there, which was put in place for them in line with their needs. The implementation will be based on the training centers we have in the sub-region, specifically in Yaoundé in Cameroon. It has been certified recently, and as the colleague has said, we are going to send people. We are sending them very far, and this was very expensive for us. Now we can train them around here. So the country say that by having a regulation system within the community, that is for CEMAC, the states will be put in this in place by the deadline. The states have told us clearly that they are going to transfer part of their staff in charge of this domain so that they work elsewhere. This again, in terms of resources, this is what I wish to add on in this regard. Thank you.
For elaborating those points, I think we have really done justice to the issue of resource requirements for RSOOs. Now we move to the next point, which is about optimization and tools. So a lot is happening on the ground in terms of activities, in terms of assistance, in terms of capacity building, training, and so on, and you can see the benefits. But to DG Regina only, what tools or mechanisms exist to measure, monitor, and optimize resource utilization within RSOs?
Merci beaucoup, James. L'optimisation des ressources au niveau de la RSO chez nous, ça vient d'abord des exigences communautaires en matière de budget. Nous avons l'obligation de
we have a pool of inspectors that come from the states, but they have been agreed since they agreed upon because they have followed some training program. So they have criteria for acceptance. So these ones are at our disposal to serve us. For other sources, we have aid from development partners, as I said during my presentation, and these contribute to funding certain activities. And this allows progressively to accomplish the missions that we have before us. Generally, we look at the results at the end, where we are coming from and where we wish to go as countries. And at this point, we look at the results that have been obtained at country level. And this will be the guide for our future actions. So we have certain countries that have a very low execution level. And our aim, and it will be the point of judgment, is the level of execution of our countries should be in position to attain the objectives related to aviation safety. This is what I have to give as answers to the question.
Thank you very much. So Brenda, in terms of management of your fluctuations, it's not the same throughout the year. How do RSOOs manage your fluctuations? Assess the demand generally steady or they experience changes according to certain times of the year? How do you manage that in local RSOO?
Thank you for that. I think most of us know, we are familiar with partner states running to us whenever audit is about to start, and it's usually last minute. So you find that we are rushing to coordinate experts in the region to go and support a certain state. But now the agency has basically thought of a different approach, so that it's now a consistent service towards partner states where we have a risk-based approach towards technical support missions. So what happens is where we basically identify certain areas or certain gaps in certain states, and that's the support that is given to them. We don't have to wait for an audit to come up to provide that support. And also in our planning annually, we ensure that there's a certain number of missions, technical missions that are planned in the partner states that don't really have to be aligned towards audits coming up. So this ensures consistency in ensuring that the caps are actually dealt with on time. And so basically caps are dealt with on time and reports are made on time. Also, we have used certain strategies, such as entering into MOUs with, say, AMAC. There's one that we're about to finalize with AFCAC, an AFI-CIS inspectorate scheme. So this ensures that we continuously have inspectors on the roll that are ready to support partner states as and when the need arises. Of course, there's also regional pooling of experts. So you'll find maybe if there's a mission in a state, we're able to get inspectors from the region to support a certain partner state. I'll give an example of South Sudan, where they've just established a safety oversight system. We've used different experts from the region to support this, and now they're going into the next stage of establishing their organizational structure. So this has enabled us to deal with fluctuations. We are not pressured when the need arises, and when the peak seasons come up, it's not as stressful as it would be as though we had never carried out any technical missions or assessments in these states. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comprehensive responses. Now, one question to all of you. What would you recommend to RSOO sustainability? You can choose to answer according to funding requirements, human resources, or tools that may be used by RSOO. Anyone? Brenda?
Thank you. Mine would be towards enabling RSOOs to be fully autonomous. I'll give an example. We are within the East African community. And much as we are established as an autonomous institution, you still find us running to the council to approve our budgets. And then you'll find maybe certain questions are raised, and then you have to go through a bureaucratic process to explain certain things. But if we want to enhance safety and security in the region, we should be allowed to actually operate as freely as possible without any bureaucratic processes. So yeah, that's my submission towards that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nathan?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
No problem. All right. Thank you very much for that. I would like to also just maybe touch on the optimization of resources by RSOs. One thing that I have seen also happen, and something that we need to consider, is an aspect where we can find a way of regional solidarity versus national interests. So this, let me explain it in this way. There are certain needs that cut across most member states within a region. And those needs under RSOs probably can be categorized into one in where resources can be allocated. So this is where you're talking about your areas of training, your areas of surveillance or assistance, where it is cut across. Resources are put towards that by RSOs to cater for that. The aspect of national interest is where a state, like already said, a state says, we need assistance to get ready for an audit. I feel this is an area where this is a demand that is coming from a state to an RSO, and it should be based on some cost recovery mechanism to actually say, okay, this is a service that you're asking from RSO, so we will give it to you at a cost recovery basis in a way to just cater for the costs that will go to an RSO. So that area is something that we just need to also just look at in terms of optimizing resources. And then obviously there are key areas which in a region of the RSO you have urgent needs, e.g. a significant safety concern has arisen in one of the states. Yes, funds should be. So to look at those 3-tier levels of optimizing the resources, I thought I would just try and put in that, that comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kofi?
Thank you, James. Regarding sustainability of RSOs, I think the French I get your well. Faris said that the matter wasn't committed. I mean, the state must commit to trust the RSOs. In order for me to trust the RSOs, I have to ensure that the resource level, technical level of the RSO is higher than mine at the civil level. And for RSOs to have this kind of expertise at the RSO level, we need money. I think money is key. That founding RSO is key. There are several models here. AFCAC, they are 100% funded by the REC. ASSA-AC, they have a combination between REC and taxes. But I think each RSO have to find a way in order to get the money right at the time when the state need the assistance. What happened, as Brenda said, by the end of the year and of the current year, what we do, usually we establish a program for the next year. When we reach the mid of next year, sometimes when I ask them, okay, can you come and assist me? I said, we have a budget reduction. So the activity that was planned cannot anymore be done. And when this happens, that can create, a misunderstanding between the state and the RSO, and some of the state can say, okay, maybe I don't need you anymore. I have to find money myself in order to do my job. So, I don't want to speak at the place, but the key issue for me to set up a mechanism in order to have the funding right. Not artificial budget, but the budget in the pocket of the RSO in order for them to carry on the job they have to do for the state. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all those very, very important interventions and explanations. Just to wrap up, perhaps if the audience, if one or two questions that we like post panel, and discussion, this could be your opportunity. I see a hand right there. And after, Eric. Let's take right at the back, I will see who it is. And come in the four interventions. Okay.
Merci beaucoup. Je suis Jean-Vert directeur du Bureau des enquêtes d'accidents d'aviation du Congo. Je pense que je ne poserai pas une question, mais c'est plutôt une contribution. On parle ici de l'optimisation des ressources. La démarche vise à optimiser les ressources en s'appuyant sur... La démarche devrait s'appuyer sur l'évaluation régulière fondée sur les capacités effectivement acquises. Ici, cela implique l'établissement et la mise en œuvre d'un mécanisme formalisé d'identification des besoins personnels, similaire à ce qui est établi au sein des autorités d'aviation civile et également des autorités d'enquête. En s'appuyant sur une analyse de charge de travail réelle, nos RSO seront en mesure de déterminer de manière précise les besoins opérationnels et élaborer des plans de résorption adaptés. Ces plans à établir garantiraient à terme une disponibilité pérenne et effective du personnel nécessaire à l'accomplissement de ces missions. On a parlé ici et on a également reproché à certains intervenants le fait que les RSO dépendent grandement des autorités d'aviation civile, du personnel des autorités d'aviation civile. Je pense que pour être réellement, pour atteindre les objectifs visés, les RSO ne devraient pas vivre sous perfusion du personnel des autorités d'aviation civile. Donc il faudrait mettre en place ce mécanisme pour garantir la disponibilité en tout temps du personnel technique qualifié et également envisager des protocoles d'accord entre RSO pour réduire également certains risques de conflit d'intérêts. Donc si nous avons dans notre continent l'AFCAC et l'ASSA-AC, ces deux entités devraient coopérer pour utiliser chaque fois que le besoin se présente, le personnel technique disponible. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Je voulais profiter de l'occasion pour remercier les membres du panel pour leur contribution et poser une petite question à mon collègue de la RAC qui nous a présenté ce matin leur chemin de financement avec un système de ressources innovant, la mise en place d'une redevance de sécurité, la contribution de la communauté économique et aussi sur les autres. Et nous avons vu que la part de la redevance est majoritaire et ça fait environ 67% si j'ai bien noté. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes confrontés à un défi au niveau de la sur le tarif aérien qui est tellement élevé et pour lesquels les autorités se penchent pour trouver des solutions pour réduire le coût du transport aérien. Et j'ai écouté qu'au moment d'adopter cette redevance, on nous a demandé de faire une évaluation sur l'impact sur l'inflation. C'est là que je voulais vous poser la question pour savoir si après l'adoption de cette redevance et la mise en application, est-ce que vous avez pu évaluer l'effet de cette redevance nouvelle sur le coût du transport aérien? Est-ce qu'entre-temps, vous avez pu évaluer la possibilité d'utiliser d'autres redevances existantes, une partie de redevances existantes pour pouvoir financer la RSOO? L'autre élément, c'est de savoir si le système que vous avez établi permet réellement, de façon durable, de couvrir le besoin en financement de long terme, en fonction des besoins de la RSOO. Donc, merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. So, is it a question or a comment from Cameroon? Is it a question?
Okay, nous allons continuer à passer. Donc, la question va à l'endroit de l'intervenant du speaker de la liste de Côte d'Ivoire sur l'aspect confiance, parce qu'il a dit dans son intervention qu'il était difficile de trust une RSOO qui n'a pas une bonne expertise, n'a pas une bonne expertise de faire assurer l'autonomie chez eux, compris le centre de cette intervention. Je voulais justement savoir s'il n'y avait pas de règles, c'est aussi une question de solidarité finalement. S'il n'est pas de la responsabilité des États forts, participer à une RSOO, de tirer les autres, comme l'a fait expliqué par exemple, la salle de classe, telle sorte qu'on puisse justement amener les enseignants à ce niveau, même au-delà des lycéens qui sont.
There was another hand of Eric. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. It's a question and a comment. The question is to Côte d'Ivoire. It's about the funding options that you asked the panelists. So it's mentioned that they are funded by the REC. I just wanted to understand the source of funding, if it is if the REC is using the member state's contribution to fund the RSOO. The comment I have is to the ASSA-AC. If the relationship in terms of the funding with the REC Secretariat is geared to the mobilizing resources from other partners, in my view, that can still stand in terms of supporting the RSOO. At the example of what happens in the ECOWAS region, if it's not just the bureaucratic process of approving a budget, but if, for example, you present your strategic plan at the EAC Secretariat level, for the EAC to be able to mobilize resources from all the partners working on the REC, I think that can still support the RSOO. So my question is to understand from, because if it's a member state contribution, then for the case of ESC it will be very, very difficult, because you will be asking the member state to support both at the REC level and at the RSO level. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this question. So first, the question is on resources. DG, would you like to answer that first? And then after Côte d'Ivoire, two questions.
Merci beaucoup, James. Concernant la LSA, on n'a pas d'indication sur notre information. Je sais que savoir que la LSA est effective depuis le 1er octobre l'année passée. Et elle n'est pas encore ici dans les États. La sous-région est effective dans 5 États. Il reste le Gabon qui, pour des raisons géopolitiques, attendait la fin d'une certaine période pour pouvoir rester. Donc, ce fait, nous n'avons pas encore fait une évaluation de son impact après son instauration. Mais, qu'à cela ne tienne, j'ai participé avec mes collègues de la Banque centrale qui avaient mené une étude sur l'inflation potentielle et sur l'impact, l'attractivité de la France sur la sous-région. Et je me souviens d'une enquête de terrain qui nous a conduit dans les agences de voyage et dans les représentations des compagnies aériennes. Et puisque la réponse de l'emprunt moyenne liée à la sous-région à 300 CFA et liée à l'international à 600 CFA. Le fait était que quand quelqu'un rentrait dans l'agence de voyage, on disait qu'il était à 300 000, il sortait 60 000, après on disait là, la place est partie, il y a une place qui voit, et c'est 320 000. La personne qui n'existait pas, automatiquement, jusqu'à 5 000 francs, ça se donnait automatiquement. Au-delà, ça respecte. Et la même chose à peu près pour le taux international. Cette résidence ce taux a été fixé. Nous sommes partis d'un taux de 500 francs pour tous les passagers et à un taux donc de 1 000 francs pour les passagers communautaires et 1 500 pour les passagers internationaux. Et en ayant passé par 2 700 et 1 700, mais il y a eu des évaluations des besoins réels de fonctionnement de l'ASSA-AC qui ont permis d'arrêter ces montants de 1 500 et de 1 000 francs. Ces besoins, c'était quoi? Des investissements nécessaires pour faire asseoir l'agence, lui doter des conditions de travail meilleures. C'était le financement du plan de formation sur 3 ans. C'était l'organisation, la mise en place de la veille réglementaire et l'assistance aux États. Étant donné, comme je vous l'ai dit ici, qu'on a des États qui partent de très bas, qu'il va falloir vraiment assister. Donc, pour les 3 ans à venir, ou peut-être les 5 ans à venir, les évaluations faites en prenant en compte aussi l'évolution potentielle du trafic, on est parti sur des chiffres très bas. On a pris l'évolution du trafic dans la sous-région à peu près 2,5%. Mais aujourd'hui, en regardant entre 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, on est peut-être à plus. Mais on avait minimisé, prenant taux à 2,5%. Et je pense que pour les activités que nous avons amenées dans les 3 ans à venir et pour les taux qui sont établis, ça permet de couvrir. Les études ont été menées par des personnels qui ont les compétences nécessaires. C'était des cadres de la Banque centrale qui s'occupent des problèmes d'inflation, des problèmes de monnaie. C'est eux qui ont amené les études. Nous, on a assisté à leur côté à cette étude-là pour voir quelle pourrait être l'inflation, quel pourrait être l'impact. Et c'est de là même que moi-même, j'ai été surpris de constater que le transport aérien, écoutez, son impact surtout en termes de trafic passager, son impact sur le coût général du transport dans un pays était plus ou moins marginal. Il y avait surtout des transports, à moins qu'on parle peut-être du transport de fret. Et comme la redevance aussi ne touche pas au fret, il ne s'arrête que aux passagers. Donc il n'y avait pas trop d'impact. Et puis on a regardé aussi dans la sous-région la totalité des taxes et redevances qui étaient appliquées. Et par rapport à celle-là, c'était vraiment, vraiment marginal. Maintenant, question que vous avez soulevée sur ce qui est en train de se faire dans votre sous-région en Afrique de l'Ouest concernant la baisse des taxes et des redevances de la sous-région. Oui, la CEMAC également nous a commis de réfléchir sur quelque chose de ce genre, mais nous commençons déjà dans la sous-région par harmoniser les taxes et les redevances dans les États. C'est-à-dire que de faire en sorte que un transport Douala-Brazzaville, on paye les mêmes taxes et redevances qu'un transport Brazzaville-Pointe-Noire ou Douala-Yaoundé. Et ce travail est quand même déjà aussi assez avancé et ça permet de l'autre côté aussi de peut-être d'améliorer la connectivité dans notre sous-région qui est une sous-région où la connectivité est des plus faibles. Merci.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but I would like Kofi just
Thank you, quickly.
I will start with French from my colleague from Cabo because I guess from French-speaking country. L'île de la Côte commence par payer des responsabilités et coopérer par les provinces et l'humanité entière. Now, having said that, I was speaking in English. That means that I can hear, Rwanda is here, I think ASSA-AC is here. Côte d'Ivoire is one of the strongest states that helps the other states in our region. Our experts are going everywhere, if not every month, to support other states. So, I mean, we are proud of it, but also we don't want to let any country be behind. So in the region, every time Côte d'Ivoire is asked to help, we provide our regulation, we support for training, we support for certification, we even support for surveillance. So it's not an issue. What I'm trying to say is that if the level of the country increases, then the RSOO also has to follow up. If not, at a certain stage, if all the states are at a high level and the RSOO does not follow, the problem of trust can be established. But I'm not saying that we don't want to support the other countries. We support them, and I think we support them a lot. And our DJ told us, every time they ask you to go somewhere, go, please go, don't hesitate. I mean, as I'm a stress and design engineer from Airbus. An aircraft, when it's leaving Abidjan to Conakry or to Togo or Benin or Ouagadougou, if Côte d'Ivoire is strong and the other countries are not strong, I think the aircraft is not safe for operation. So we have to. The strongest have to help the others, and we are doing that every time. That's not an issue for us. Regarding the second question, funding of RSOs, the situation of ASSA-AC is quite particular because we are embedded in the REC. So the employees are employees of the REC. So what we do as state, we fund the REC, and the REC is giving the money to ASSA-AC in order to do the operation. So it's not a double contribution. It's one contribution to the REC, and then the REC is doing its job by funding the RSOO. But this is a transition period. What ASSA-AC must become AFCAC. That means a fully autonomous RSOO. And when this will be created, either they maintain the funding mechanism actually in place, 100% funded by the REC, or maybe they go as a hybrid funding system, as ASSA-AC said.
Excuse me, just a follow-up. My question is, that's funding from the REC. Is it through member states contributions, or it is a partner, let's say World Bank or any other partner funding the REC, and then the REC can be able to fund the
member state contribution to the REC.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we have exhausted all the questions and interventions from the audience. Otherwise, thank you very much to all the panelists for the insightful comments that you gave. I'm sure we have got something that we can write home about. So the key issues that we have discussed here, I was just jotting down as we were discussing. The big problem is scarce resources, limited financial resources from our member states. But we have discussed that we can go for regional solidarity. There is need for prudent financial and human resources planning on the side of the RSOOs. I've also captured the aspect of funding mechanisms and models which can be pursued, and these can be shared amongst RSOOs for commonality. Then there's also the aspect of leveraging on capacity building. That point came out very well. So in terms of consolidation in the RSOO context, also discussed that there is need for structured strengthening and rationalizing multiple fragmented regional efforts into more coordinated, efficient, and sustainable systems. And this involves integration of functions, where possible, avoiding duplication between overlapping RSOOs, so that at least you optimize on the resources. There was also an aspect of standardizing processes and procedures and methodologies within the RSOOs themselves. Then also there was an aspect of pooling and optimizing of resources on the technical expert side, financial resources side, and if possible audit tools. Then also there was an aspect of enhancing collective capacity so that every participating state can rely on minimum level of quality, expertise, and support from our regional safety oversight organization. And also there was an aspect of sustainability of RSOs through, of course, planning, funding models, and fragmentation. So these are the few key points that I picked up as we were discussing. But otherwise, thank you very much for those comments and insightful indications that you gave this indication. Thank you very much.